I'm Nurefsan from nmaistro. In this video, we are exploring the most semantic search in the world with nmaistro. You will see how nmaistro answers deceptively simple but legally complex question under Turkish Stamp Tax Law. What is considered a document, and how it does so by reasoning across legislation, private ruling, and legal interpretation, not by matching keywords. Under the Stamp Tax Law, taxation doesn't depend on intent, title, or form. It depends on whether something qualifies as a document. This question directly affects tax exposure, contract structuring, digital records and electronic workflows, and compliance risks. Yet the answer is rarely found in a single provision. If you approach this question with traditional search tools, you get fragmented answer. One source steals Article 1 of the law. Another points to court decision or administrative interpretations. Other refer to doctrine or practice. What is missing is synthesis. How these sources interact and how the concept of documents is actually applied in stamp tax practice. In this scenario, the objective is clear: to determine what qualifies as a document under stamp tax law by relying on the wording and structure of the law, revenue administration private rulings, and the practical logic applied in taxation. And to present this as a clear, reasoned legal position, not a list experts. We begin by writing a single question to nmaistro. First we choose Malumat ki private rulings MCP and then we ask, using the private rulings MCP, explain what is considered a document under the stamp tax law and which documents are subject to stamp tax. Provide the answer together with links to the relevant private rulings. At this point, nmaistro assigned multiple agents, each tracking a different layer of interpretation legislation, administrative rulings, and applied practice. nmaistro doesn't retrieve isolated passage. It identifies how Article 1 of the Stamp Tax Law defines taxable documents through listed tables. Examines Article 4, which requires determining of documents' nature based on its content. Considers Article 10, where the type and nature of the documents determine how tax is calculated, and evaluates how private rulings of the revenue administration apply these principles in practice. Each source is read in context, each interpretation is weighed against real tax outcomes. This is where semantic reasoning becomes visible. nmaistro explains that under stamp tax practice, the law doesn't focus on the label of a document, but on its content, legal effect, and capacity to produce consequences. Whether a document is taxable depends not on how it's named, but on what it actually does. This principle is consistently confirmed in GIB private rulings. What makes this search different is not speed, it's depth. Instead of returning dozens of disconnected links, nmaistro produced a coherent legal interpretation grounded in legislation, confirmed by administrative practice and aligned with how stamp tax is actually applied. The results can be used directly in legal advice, applied to contracts and documents designed, referenced in compliance and tax risk assessment, or escalate into a formal legal memorandum. One legal question, one prompt, one defensible legal position. That is the most semantic search in the world with nmaistro. Not just retrieving legal text, but understanding how the law works as a system. In the next videos, we will explore more use cases and show how nmaistro handles complex legal reasoning across different domains. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.